It is Christmas for one of my tractors. One of my small little tractors has a front end loader on it. Got all new hydraulic lines. I've been chasing some leaks here and there over the years and just doing one at a time, and I figured might as well just do them all before one pops in the middle of doing a job that I need to do, and then I'm left with nothing. So it looks a little weird. I'm sure it's fine. So we'll go out and replace them. They're just small little things. Nothing's big on this tractor at all. But let's go fire it up. Hasn't been started in, I don't know, a month or so. Fire it up, bring it around front, and start changing hydraulic lines. And even put on a filter, because right now it doesn't have a filter on it at all. So this is my 1984-ish, 85-ish MTD. What has it got? 18 horsepower. Briggs & Stratton. It's a what's called like a 990 series. It's a 995. It's their biggest. It's actually a fair amount bigger. I mean, that tire, that's a 27-inch. That's a regular Roland Garden tire, which fits inside of the rim of that. It's actually pretty big. It was meant to compete with all the John Deere big boys and the Sears, the big Sears and everything. And right before they stopped doing anything good and just started making pure crap, they still made some decent stuff. Show you guys around. This one has a Kwik Way front end loader from the factory on it with tilt and everything else, but hydraulic hoses up here. I think that one's leaking, and I think this one's leaking right here. So this one right here for the bucket tilt is actually starting to leak pretty good. I've already replaced. This is actually a newer line right here. It doesn't look that way because there's some surface crack. So that's actually a pretty new line. That's original 1984-ish. This is a replaced line. This line right here is actually starting to leak as well. Didn't even notice until I saw it today, but it's starting to weep. But we got a bunch of lines all need to be replaced. This is actually the hydraulic reservoir, this upright right here, and so we'll try to drain that. The pump just hangs off right off the front right there, runs off a belt. I actually have a new belt for it, but maybe I should do that too. I don't know. Work. The rear end is hydraulic, has a hydraulic 3-point, category 0. This is some stuff, when I first got it 15 years ago, there wasn't enough weight on the back, so you'd lift stuff and then you couldn't steer at all, and then you'd lose traction. So these are all concrete filled cinder blocks. I just made up a quick pan from a skid pan on a Jeep. So that's all that is. Doubled up wheel weights. The outside wheel weight's actually a pretty new feature, but then even off the back I hang some these are solid steel of a Hustler walk behind commercial mower, and then a concrete filled cinder block. It sits so long that the carburetor bowl is always dry, so I found out the quickest thing to do is you just buy a primer bulb. You just fill the carburetor bowl back up. There, full. That one, it wasn't actually that dry, but it's filled up. Got oil in it. Let's fire her up. I'll run around to there. You want to hear a good slow running Briggs? That got to be like 600 RPM. Opposed cylinder, flathead. So I want to keep as much fluid in the system as possible, and the cylinders are actually fuller when they're fully extended because the rod isn't taking up space in there. So that has the maximum amount of fluid it can in it right now. Same with these. So they'll leak out the least amount out of the system, where if I have them retracted, well, that would want to fall, but this is going to want to fall anyway, so I don't know. It's going to be a mess no matter how I shake it. I'm just prepping all of my lines. I actually want to put a cover on them. So I actually got this stuff. This is kind of like that Chinese finger trap stuff, but they usually wrap parts and stuff in it. You buy huge rolls. So I bought huge rolls in a bunch of different sizes, and they're dirt cheap from like AliExpress from China. A couple bucks, $2. I probably paid $3 for a roll of, I don't even know how long that is. It has to be like 30 feet, 50 feet, something like that. But it expands to almost any size. This is a 12 millimeter. I bought a bunch of sizes, and it's kind of hard to tell how big you were going to get, so they were actually way too big. I actually kind of want to go on the smaller side because they stretch so much, but then, I don't know. But they slide on pretty good, and I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink. They want to flare out, so I intentionally did that, unless you kind of melt the ends. So that's all it takes, and it kind of melts some of the strands together. Kind of stays more uniform. I need to do it to this side now. We'll slide this on. I'm going to actually slide it back here. Slide this side off. See if I didn't ruin it. Like I always grab that when I have a little teeny lighter right there. Slide that back. And no, this isn't perfect, but if you've seen how much they want for like real hydraulic line covering, it's not cheap. This is my little makeshift way. I'm putting some heat shrink around that corner. There we go. Like some little pieces. This is heat shrink. This is 3/4 inch. Actually from Harbor Freight. They sell this little box. And it's actually not that bad a deal. So they sell this box. It looks like this. And it comes with some huge sizes. And I end up using them once in a while. Like that 1 inch. Sometimes for handles on equipment and stuff like that. But we'll take that. We'll just cap off the end. You could also use some electrical tape. Some good stuff like Super 33 by 3M. That would actually work really good in this scenario too. We'll just put that up there, and we'll just heat shrink it on. And that's just going to fight some abrasion, but main purpose is keep the sun off as much as possible. This is probably 50 to 60% transparent, so it'll block 50 to 60% of the sun. Better than nothing. That's what I have laying around, so that's what I'm going to use. You notice all these fittings is because I bought universal size hydraulic hoses from, not sponsored, Surplus Center. Because for $165, even the filter, everything, I got all these. If I tried to make one hose, I bet you this one hose right here, if I went down and made it with the correct end, would cost me $90. So out of all the hoses here, I would be into this over $1,000 just in hydraulic hoses if I actually had them made, where you just use universals with a bunch of fittings. Far cheaper. Female, male. We got 2 on, a dozen more to go. You don't need to worry about those cracks. It'll be just fine. There we go. Nope. We got the main pressure line coming out of the pump right here. I'm actually not going to change out the suction line on the other side because it's just a big old hose that does nothing but transfer fluid under no pressure. So we'll get this hose ready just in case I got to put that on real fast because it's dumping out fluid. And what is this, 13/16? Oh, this one's 7/8. Now, this one had a swivel. A new one doesn't on this end. So we gotta rotate the hose. This return line will actually rub against the tire. So I have this stuff that I bought in bulk as well that I've wrapped hydraulic lines in for like my driveway lift, car lift, because I drag those across the pavement. So I just wrap them in this stuff, and this takes the brunt of the wear. Never expanded it this big, but it seems to work just fine. I mean, because it comes in a bunch of different sizes, and this is only meant for, you know, around 3/4 of an inch. So this right here is the return line, so any extra pressure or whatever you're not using just comes back here, empties back in the reservoir. So we've got a filter. There's no real pressure under there, it's really low. So I'll just mount this in here, and I've got a 90 up here to here, and they'll be able to bend from here up to my manifold or whatever. About a half a quart on the ground, and I caught 1.5 quarts. So 2 quarts low. We're going to use ATF. That's what I put in before. Automatic transmission fluid works great as hydraulic fluid. That's all an automatic transmission is a hydraulic pump and motor. Essentially, well, yeah, we made a decent mess. Cardboard caught 75%. concrete, cut the other 25%. So I'm sure there's tons of air in the system now. Let's fire it up and see what she does. There we go. I've actually always wondered how much it would lift. I think it's probably around 500 pounds, but got a bunch of sandbags. We could actually test it out. Hey, you want some cheese with that? Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Get it. Good job.